understanding, Chicago has had an extremely strong historical ties with the Jewish community. And then with that, I think because there's always going to be a Jewish presence in Chicago and therefore on IIT, one of the big problems that we talk about when discussing clubs is like, how are they going to keep members in? I think since we're always going to have like a Jewish community on campus, I think this club will go for a long time. And I think with that, from what I understand, some of our other clubs that are based on identities similar to Jewish identity are some of our longest standing and strongest clubs on campus. So saying that, I would like to speak in support and urge everyone to vote yay on this proposal.
Do I have any other comments or points of discussion? Online as well. Chloe.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to, a couple people are asking about Hillel. They do exist on campus as an organization. They do function primarily through the Chicago chapter and Chicago branch. So a lot of the involvement with Hillel on campus is focused towards, there's some stuff on campus, but a lot of it's focused towards going off campus and being part of the Metro Chicago Hillel chapter. So this would be really great to have on campus as something that's focused more for here and for involving everyone on campus to be a part of. So that's my take on it, because I've been to a couple Hillel events and a lot of it is off campus. And they also were defunct for some time. I think they're back up and running now, but it's very low numbers.
Anything else?
Question.
That's it.
Thank you. With that, we can release the voting form. Probably going to take us a little bit longer. Please excuse that. In the meantime, I believe we're going to hear the next student organization, the Yearbook Association. So if you'd like to come up and do the exact same introduction, please. I'm going to go get the other club representative. You have a presentation?
Yeah, I shared it with.
Perfect, thank you. Of course, yes, you can. Let me just pull it up. Yep.
They're like more than two. Why choose that photo? Yeah. Nice.
Aha, y'all miss me? I'm kidding. I'm Samir. I'm taking over. No, I'm kidding. The derivative is our board proposal. We're here to propose a yearbook. Monique is the president, and I am the outreach chair.
Okay, so we're trying to bring back the yearbook. The last one was in 2006. I'm gonna go ahead and pass around some of the old yearbook. I have the 3 last ones that were printed. Just pass around. Take a look at it. So basically, we want to provide tribute and highlight like events that happen throughout the year and kind of create like memorabilia for IIT students as they graduate and alumni. We also want to provide a source of external advertisement for IIT so they can use that in their admissions and recruitment as well. And we want to inform and inform the student body about what's going on campus, because I know there can be sometimes like a disconnect between that. So you can kind of learn about IIT and student life on campus through the yearbook as well.
So our goals for the next year include the yearbook. But the structure of our team is going to be, there's going to be 5 people on our 5 teams on our bigger team. there's going to be outreach and marketing, seniors, and fifth years for all these. Photography, sports, and overall design and graphics for the pages. We're also gonna, highlight events, as Mandy said, and special moments of each year. And finally, we're gonna be funding our own equipment and supplies through donations from alumni. And we're also gonna be selling advertisements in our yearbooks to businesses who are looking for businesses who are recruiting students to join them as employees.
Okay, so I'm gonna start talking about kind of the structure of our org and what each position is going to do. So as the president, I'm gonna keep in continuous contact with the university. Our advisor, who's Mindy Pugh, she's the historian for IIT. So we thought that would be a great addition to our org. And then as well as organizations on campus and Jostin. And then our VP of project management, Shahan, is going to oversee the different teams and work with within the organization, as well as set timelines and deadlines for everyone, and kind of lead meetings and organize.
Our treasurer does treasurer stuff. And our marketing and outreach person does marketing and outreach. Yeah.
Okay, so our photography lead is obviously going to schedule, kind of make sure that a photographer attends every event. And they're going to create schedules and deadlines for Photoshop as well. And then we're going to have the sports lead who's going to schedule all sports photography, and they're going to work with the photography lead. And then they're also in charge of creating sports spreads.
And finally, our graphics design lead is going to make our pages look beautiful. They are going to be creating the calendars and deadlines for all spreads, and they are going to ensure that each page is something that makes your eyes happy.
So our finances, we are looking to request about 2,500, I believe. Yeah, 2,500 from the SAF. We just want to get started with cameras. I talked to Chloe a little bit about it. And then here's a breakdown. So we're going to request 2 lenses and 2 camera bodies. And then basically the rest of it, we want to fund on our own. That's on our next slide.
For more financial stuff for yearbook, we're going to be reaching out to the Office of Marketing and Communications. Since a yearbook is something that is promotional material that can be used as promotional material and also as like a connection to alumni associations. A yearbook, we see the yearbook as an asset to Illinois Tech, and therefore something that marketing and communications would be willing to invest in. We're also going to be reaching out to alumni associations to donate as well.
And also we're thinking of possibly making like little like flyers or booklets for marketing and communications, because it's really easy. We can just use like some of our spreads and put them in small. Hopefully that will help them, intrigue them to give us some money. So here's some precedent images. How do I use them?
So, what are you?
No, that is not how you do it.
It's the central button.
Okay, so this one is kind of just like a layout of what it would look like. There'd be like each season and then activities and like the different like orgs and everything under that. And then here's kind of an example of how advertisements look. And then we'd have like a history about IIT page or like what's going on that year. I was talking to Professor Pugh about it, and I think we were all thinking of doing maybe like IIT before MEAS, because MEAS is really like talked about a lot, but there was like a lot here before that, and I think it would be great to highlight that. So that's something that we're looking at doing. Here's some cover pages that we were looking at, and then here's just an example of like a formal page.
Sports. Y'all like sports? Sports. I'm kidding. Our wonderful sports photography liaison is Brennan Perez. Big shout out. He is the one who captures the school spirits of sports games at IIT.
And then here's some student works activities.
You could be, SGA is going to be one of them.
It's not
Yeah.
Oh
This
yeah,
could be you guys, if you approve us.
We'll be student OG.
there's also, look, a whole page for you guys.
Yeah, this could be you.
See
And then-
myself now in the headlights.
Yes.
So that's our presentation. Thank you for listening. That's a cool picture from my window. Any questions?
Real quick, before you do any questions, just to make a quick clarification. This is like a really, really big project, obviously. And so the team that we showed you guys earlier aren't the only people that are gonna be working on it. Our whole idea is to have our general body be as involved as possible in this, and for the student body to provide as much input as possible.
We're trying to get 10 to 15 people on each team, each of the 5 teams. I also have an interest form, which is on the proposal, but I haven't updated it. So there are some more people that filled it out after I last updated it.
Got it. So as usual, we're going to enter into 5 minutes question and answer. I believe Nova had his hand up first.
Thank you. So it is very easy to be optimistic about being self-funded, and I have little doubt that you guys will be able to fund most, if not all, of this project. But just assuming, worst comes to worst, and everything falls through, and you're unable to self-fund it all, could you give an estimate of how much you guys would be expecting to request from the SAF, if any at all?
I'm supposed to meet with Jostens later this week, but I was in my high school yearbook, and we kind of had the same structure. I actually talked to my high school yearbook teacher about it, and we actually had enough funding that she would just buy us random chairs every year. So I think if it goes well, that would be like obviously the optimistic end, but I have faith that we will be able to kind of follow through with it.
Supplement her answer. This whole semester is going to be focused on us really getting all the groundwork laid out, because there's a lot of groundwork to lay. Next semester is when we hope to start actually taking photos, documenting proper stuff. But right now we really need to get that nitty-gritty and all that, the actual teams figured out and the funding. So that's what this semester is for.
So it sounds like you all have a pretty good idea of what you want to do, and you've identified some funding options. One question I did have, in high school, I remember I paid somewhere between $40 to $60 a year for my yearbook. At this time, do you anticipate students having to pay out of pocket any for the yearbook? And if so, very rough estimate, where do you think that would be about?
I did get one quote. It was around $46. I am meeting with Jostens on, that's going to be our preferred method, just because I was talking to our design lead, and the $45 one just wasn't what we wanted to go for. It's still definitely an option. So that would probably be around the price. I couldn't give you anything more specific, but yes, we are looking to have students pay for them.
Do you have?
What would be the expected thickness of your yearbook?
Thickness? Yeah. I was looking at 250 pages. So it's about, that one is 180, I think, or something like that. 150?
roughly.
150?
Are you going to
1.5.
Are you going to ensure that every student will be that yearbook?
Yes. So the goal is to do all undergrad And I'm not sure about graduate students. I don't know how that works.
But will there be yearbook for undergrad? Or is it all of IIT? So undergrad and graduate? Can there be like a separate one for undergrad only and then a graduate?
We could look into that honestly, but it,
I'm not sure how many graduate students are going to buy yearbooks though, because yeah, that's the only reason why I wasn't sure about that.
We're still working out who is qualified to be within that bracket, and we're talking with, I believe his name's Jake. Jake at Marketing Communications, and then, obviously Professor Pugh has a lot of insight there.
And two other people in OCL. I was also talking to Rachel a lot about it. So.
ideally, we would want to represent all of IIT because a yearbook is something that should represent the school. So our goal and our vision is to properly represent. So yes, we will be making efforts to include everyone any way we can.
Elio? Nova?
This is a simpler question, and it's fine if you don't know the answer. This is kind of a curiosity. What happened in 2006/2007 that resulted in the end of a club? And if you do know the answer, what will you guys be doing to prevent that thing from happening again? Because clearly this wasn't a pandemic thing like most clubs revivals are.
I've asked around. No one knows the answer to the question. My assumptions, I have two of them. One, there just weren't enough people to sustain. Two, it can be expensive. I've seen I don't know. I was looking at it, and a lot of schools go into debt because they require you to sell a certain amount of yearbooks, and that's one thing that I'm looking at when looking at companies that I'm willing to work with. Obviously, I'm not going to put myself into a contract where I have to sell a certain amount of yearbooks. So that is something that won't be happening.
Additionally, the yearbook, our IIT yearbook is going to have a strong outreach team to properly establish a good, solid connection with alumni and external partners as well, so that we're not left hanging in case.
Fortunately, we have run out of time. Do I have a motion to extend? If so, by how long? Nova?
I make a motion to extend by
4 minutes. I have another question.
Do I have a second?
Just a brief question. When you say you're going to reach out to the entire school, I assume you're thinking about all the campuses that are included with IIT. The compiler loss. Has students apparently, but I'm not entirely sure about that. So you're going to be reaching out to the other campuses as well.
Nafiha?
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking, it sounds like a lot of what you guys plan to do is kind of similar to a lot of things that Tech does. So I was wondering if by any chance it came across your train of thought to collaborate with them or allow them to come to you or anything like that.
Yes, we are going to. We reached out to Dan, and we're planning to get as many. Let me rephrase that. We're planning to collaborate heavily with Tech News, especially for photography content, and also because they do coverage of events on campus. We're going to be relying on them somewhat as well. The way, and as for the goals thing, the way I like to see it is Tech News is all about present, what's happening. They report on what's happening. We're all about the past. We're all about what happened this year. So.
We are also partnering with Photography Club. They have some cameras as well.
Yeah.
So that's why we're only requesting 2, because
Yeah, that's what I was going to add on, that if this club were to be approved, it provides a great opportunity for several other organizations to be heavily involved, which would help them stay alive as an org, if that makes sense. This is once again to reiterate, this is not just us working on this. This is multiple students. This is a multi-person collaborative effort, multi-organization.
Well, my question, I understand you guys have photographers, right? and then you guys have teams. What I'm worried about is there's bias. Photograph multiple people who are their friends. That's what I'm worried about. So are you gonna ensure that there's no bias when you take photographs of other people?
So in high school, what we did was we made sure that there was a max amount of time someone can be in the yearbook. So as editors, I'm hoping that we're not biased. And obviously we're all gonna like, you know, what's it called? Check each other, checks and balances. So that's how we're gonna reduce that.
Additionally, a lot of the content in the yearbook is also going to be provided by students. So everyone's going to have an equal shot at getting something that they made or they captured in the yearbook.
We're also gonna have like Google Forms. I think it's in the proposal as well on page ideas. We're gonna send out Google Forms so orgs can say, I want to be on this page, and they can send us a photo as well, or something, or they can request us to come out and take a photo. So
Are there any other questions? Nova,
To debate.
do I have a second? Perfect. All right.
Thank you all.
5-minute procedure. So there's no longer a voting member and I
No.
think it's not either. So,
Can you close the door when they leave?
yes, I can.
Do we have a, does she have something of arm, add on to this one?
These two. We need to appoint a new one.
Gotcha.
Chloe, you still have your hand up in the chat. Do you need anything?
No, thank you.
Right. Do I have any points of discussion for the organization? There you go.
I do have concerns though, but I'm kind of glad that you are partnering with them. Because you guys have no bias. You guys print whatever you want. That's what I like. I'm a little bit concerned because I know some of the people next tech board and they like to tend to take pictures of only their friends. I'm not sure if that's true, but I'm a little bit concerned. That's all I am. I'm not totally against it, but I'm kind of scared.
Derek.
I think personally, when it comes to issues of bias, I think there's always going to be potential for that. I think student organizations, if they wish to be featured in the newspaper, do have sort of a responsibility to reach out to this organization and say, look, we want to be in the newspaper, you can come take pictures of our event, yada, 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 whatever. So I think that does fall in the organization. As for individual people, I am not very confident we're going to be able to take pictures of every single undergraduate or every single graduate student when we're talking thousands of pictures. And I don't think that's very likely considering the school doesn't already do composites. But I will say, when it comes to issues of bias, I think you will see bias in certain people that are very active in the student community, people that come to events, people that host events, whatever else, versus people that sit in the rooms all day. Not judging, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. But you will naturally see bias because of who's actually participating.
Can I say something after? The only reason I'm so scared is like I don't want people hating on yearbook club being like, oh, you guys didn't mention me here. I'd be like, then why didn't you come to them? Or they haven't come to you. That's what I'm worried about.
Gotcha. Elliot?
One thing that I'm also worried about is usually, at least from my experience, when it comes to notebooks in universities, the reason they usually don't function as well is because students don't buy them. No matter how cheap they are, students don't see a necessity to buy them for some reason. And like even at high schools struggle to sell yearbooks. And that's one of my biggest concerns for this one as well. It's most likely that the previous yearbook team failed because they weren't able to sell enough.
Chris?
So yes, Tech News would be willing to work with them and stuff like that. And I do think that it's good that they're, when we're talking about bias, I agree that it could be problematic, you know, if people are like, well, I wasn't featured, and stuff like that. But also there are going to be people who will show up more like we as a body are likely to show up more. Just based on what we do, like if we're working at events and stuff like that, because of some of that. But I also do think that since they're going to be asking for photography and stuff from the student body, that can help ameliorate it a bit. But I also do think so the aspiration of getting every undergrad student in this is pretty big, especially since I know plenty of people who would not want to be. Not because they're gonna hate on it, but just because they don't want their photo out there. They don't want people to know they exist, you know? Do not perceive me. So I think maybe documenting like the big events on campus and like the student organizations might be a better focus if that's feasible, but
Nova?
On this point, I do think one of the strengths of having a large team, assuming they are able to assemble, we're talking 10 to 15 times 5, so 50 to 75 region. The benefit of having so many people on the team is that they know more people. There's going to be a bigger web and reach that they can have to help kind of smooth out that bias. Like, sure, on a smaller team, you know, they might have a lot of overlap. A lot of them might be friends, so that they have only a small reach. But 50 to 75 people expectation, I think, will even out a lot of this bias. Furthermore, I do think this problem is symptomatic of not yearbooks themselves, but rather a bad yearbook organizational team. And from what I have seen within the proposal, they seem, really well organized. I mean, one of the presenters does have experience and is constantly communicating with people who have done yearbook in their high school. As for the selling problem, I mean, that is a very real problem, but again, they did kind of reach out and say, or like they did respond to a question and did say that they're not going to work with a company that expects them to make a certain amount of sales. So yeah, all that being said, I would like to urge this body to vote yay on this proposal.
Eric?
I think the whole bias situation is a little overblown. I think a lot of the people, if they dislike it because they're not in it or they didn't put themselves out there, I think we're all in college now. We're not in high school, and we're not. I think it's a very petty thing. Kind of, I think a lot of students here left behind, and they understand how much they want to put themselves out there and how much they want to retain themselves from the public view. And so, I think the marketing value that it'll have for the school, in that people will see what's going on. People will get a year in review, whether it be alumni, parents of students, or anyone else who's interested in IIT. They'll get to see this is what the school does. This is, these are some of the biggest events here. And I think it'll just have a lot of value for the school itself in putting itself out there as what we are and what we want to do.
Yes.
I also just want to make a point. We are in the year of 2022. Yes, I think we could hypothetically do a PDF yearbook option. There's some folks that will put out print copies of stuff and then PDF copies of stuff, and that can make it affordable for the students. You won't have to pay printing fees, but it is still a way to get that out there. So that might be something that they could consider doing.
Isaiah, did you have something?
Oh, no, sorry.
Are there any other points of discussion?
I'd like just to make a point of information. Is there anyone online with their hands up?
No.
No. And then I would like to make a motion to move the previous question.
Second? All right, go ahead and release the voting form.
It's already been released.
Okay. So now we are going to move on to our next agenda item of tonight, an open letter about the flag of Palestine in Herman Hall from Nova. Nova, if you'd like to come up here. I'm gonna go.
All right. So I think the title is pretty self-explanatory. So I will instead open with some necessary background, I believe. So this issue of establishing the flag of Palestine in Herman Hall, to my knowledge, I am a first year student, so I had to get all this secondhand, has been a problem for at least the last 3 years. Both multiple student organizations and I believe even SGA itself at one point had advocated for this in some way or another. And through these years of trying to get this thing to happen, at some point, there was some agreement with parts of administration to eventually get it up, but due to problems with pandemic and communications, that never happened. So in order to avoid all of that, another 3 years of this or however long it might be, this is an open letter to President Raj with multiple signatories, hopefully including SGA, to get the flag of Palestine hung up and recognized within Herman Hall. A lot of students, though this is not the official goal of the Herman Hall flag display, do believe in the Herman Hall flag display as a triumph and testament of the strength of diversity within Illinois Institute of Technology. Just looking at the student organizations that have signed on this and those who are waiting, further waiting, there is clearly strong interest and dedication to seeing this flag hung up. Furthermore, one thing I heard from administration is the idea that these flags are supposed to represent only UN recognized countries. However, I would just like to simply repeat that by saying we do have the Vatican City or the Holy See flag in our flag display, which is not a UN recognized country, but it actually shares the same status as the territory of Palestine. So, yeah, just to reiterate, this proposal is to President Raj to expedite this and see top-down action to get the flag of Palestine hung up in Herman Hall. Thank you.
So as usual, we're going to move into our 5-minute question and answer period. Do I have anyone with any questions? Derek?
Have you spoken with any current members of the administration regarding this issue within the last few weeks, months?
So I myself have not spoken with administration. However, I would like to reiterate that I have spoken with people who have second-handedly spoken with administration. The purpose of doing this is to hopefully get a lot of momentum behind this bill so that when we do eventually speak to administration, that they understand there is a lot of student support behind this. This isn't just like an isolated cause.
Elio?
Just so I understand, this is a letter that's pushing for the administration to put up the flag, but I remember correctly, this was actually already permitted, just there's been a lot of trouble trying to actually put it up.
Yes, from what I have gathered from multiple students, at least one group within the administration, OCL, did within some level approve of this and start working to get it done, but due to either miscommunication, facilities or marketing, that wasn't able to be done.
Are there any other questions? Do I have a motion to move into discussion? So moved. Okay. All right. As usual, do I have any points of discussion or comments, concerns, etc.? Chris?
I personally believe that we should approve this letter. I do believe that flag should be flying. I just like just not being like you're seeing all these other countries and all these other peoples being represented, and you come to this campus, like especially if you're from Palestine, you're also in a country that you don't really know, and like it would, like I just can't imagine how like isolating that might feel to not really feel represented like that, you know, especially considering the current political climate around that kind of stuff. It's got to be rough. So I believe that this flag should fly.
It's like, I know in like all the newsletters and emails we get from administration these days, they're always talking about equality and representation and so forth. It feels like if they continue to just like, I guess, prohibit or use whatever red tape, it just seems like they're not really living up to their words, which wouldn't be necessarily surprising with any administrative collective anywhere, but I think it would still be important that this flag is put up.
Do I have any other points of discussion? All right, motion, I have a motion to move the previous question. Do I have a second? All right. Naomi, you can go ahead and release the voting form.
Done.
So with that, we're going to be moving on to the next agenda item of the Senate Elections Commission nominations and establishment from Isaiah.
Great. So, per the bylaws, and just as to get started with the spring elections, the Senate does have to formally vote on and approve a Senate commission, basically similar to the executive elections committee that we had just a couple weeks ago. If you look at the proposal, I believe it names me as the commissioner, Joel as the vice commissioner. We have Beck as a deputy commissioner and the Samir as well as deputy commissioner. There's only 4, the required 6. The reason for that is just because I was going to offer myself up for any friendly amendments. Basically, if any senators were interested in joining that commission, we'll note that in order to be on the commission, you are basically signing off that you will not be running the election in the spring. So I will open myself up for that once I finish speaking. Yeah, but then also just full transparency to the Senate. I know Elio's working on it. Are you helping him out as well, Nova, with the amendment? Sort of. Okay. Full transparency as well. The executive board is trying very hard to basically get an amendment to the Senate and get it passed by you all to essentially just kind of cut out the spring election. Let me say this actually. To basically move the spring elections to the fall, just because we are under a very tight time limit. And as I'll say later on in my report, kind of one of the big goals for the elections is just for them to be, for lack of a better word, hyped up and for us to get as much participation as possible. And I just firmly do not believe that it's possible to do that within like the 2-week time frame that we basically have. So yeah, but also in order for us to be able to do that, not only would the Senate have to approve the amendment, but the Senate Election Commission would also have to unanimously approve it as well. So regardless, we really do need the commission to be up and running. So yeah, I'll open up to questions.
All right. You know the drill by now. At least I hope you do. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask? Nova.
I know the answer to this already. I just want you to repeat it for the group. Have we checked the constitutionality of that statement you made about passing with Senate and then having unanimous support within the commission?
We have gone through the bylaws, talked to our Chief Justice about it, and legally we are all in the clear if we go through with that plan.
Are there any other questions? Or do I have a motion to move to discussion?
So moved. Second.
Gotcha. All right. How dare you?
I apologize. Oh, wait. Fix that.
So are there any points of discussion, concerns, comments, anything along those lines? Chris.
I know I'm talking a lot today. I do think that the amendment to move it, I very much feel that is definitely something to consider since things are really tight, and especially considering getting communications out about this kind of stuff. Like, it could be a pretty tight turnaround time, and like, if we're going to be doing this election soon, like, I'm already stressed about finals coming up because that's only a few weeks away, and this election is going to be within that timeline where people are really starting to like go heads down and study. And also, you know, if you want Tech News to report on it, we only publish so many issues this semester, and there's a certain point where we have to stop. So I do think moving it to the fall would be a good idea.
All right. Nova.
Just speaking as person who presented a amendment to the general election timelines last week. A lot of the points I made during then, aka it being squished, tech news not having enough time to report, lower voter turnout. I think all of those do apply to the future amendment that we're talking about. But also, I do think we need to talk about that in conjunction with this nominations and establishment, because this commission is going to be necessary in order to approve that. So if we do want to see a fall election next fall instead of now, to avoid all of those issues, we are going to need to establish this commission. And so I would like to strongly urge everyone to vote yay.
Derek,
I move the previous question.
Second.
all right, go ahead and release the voting form, Naeem. Perfect. Okay, so, the final voting item of tonight is, I have a nomination for the executive assistant, which is one of the, yearly kind of things, especially because I was the previous executive assistant. It kind of leaves a little bit of a hole in the exec team, especially when it comes to managing the Senate meetings, i.e. I've asked a bunch of different people, they would be like, hey, can you take minutes from me, please? Just for this one meeting, I swear. Anyway, so I am nominating Naeem Mohammed. He's sitting right there. For a second, just explaining the qualifications, experience.
Wonderful. Excellent. Hello, everyone. Hi. Hello. Hello. Thank you all for coming here tonight. My name is Naeem Mohammed. If you don't know me, I've been I'm currently a third year, in terms of years here, fourth year by credits computer science major who's looking to do co-term with ITM. The organizations I'm involved in include the following, and I'll go through them really quickly. I'm currently the president of RHA. I'm currently an SGA Senator. I'm currently a counselor on PTEC. I'm currently a VP of communications for Sigma Phi Epsilon. I'm currently the secretary for NESB. I'm currently a secretary for Illinois Board Higher Education Student Advisory Committee. I'm currently a member of the Greek Honor Society. I'm also currently a Cameras Council scholar. And what am I missing? Yeah, that's about it. So currently, I'm looking to transition the role for what is it? RHA SGA Senator over to ideally being the executive assistant, more so I can work with the executive board a little bit closer in our efforts to try and combine things and work with RHA. And that would alleviate me of my current senator duties, which are less predictable. Executive assistant is a more predictable thing that I can kind of do. So I want to contribute in a different way. So with my long list, which I am shortening, I promise. I don't want to overboard myself with more things as I have other things and research and yada yada that I do. I do want to just at least show you all that I am transferring my oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? New thought. Any questions?
Standard 5-minute questions. Derek?
So you had mentioned that you were trying to transition between roles, between being a senator and an executive assistant. Are you implying that you will be stepping down as a senator because executive assistant is allowed to stay on as a senator?
Yes. So if I do take on the role of executive assistant, then yeah, I will step down as a senator only because I really can't do both. Like I said, I'd rather serve in one role.
There's another question, Derek?
What is the best fraternity in the world?
I don't think you have to.
No, you can't.
Do I have to say it, Derek?
No, you can't
It
answer
affects
that.
my vote.
Answer it.
No.
Okay. Can I get to your question, lady?
Objection.
No,
On what
I
grounds?
objected to objection. Veto that question.
Thank you. Nova.
This is a pretty simple question. Are you sure you're qualified enough for this position? As I understand, you do have some tough competition for this role. Thank you, Nova. So, thank you, competitor. Hello.
I have been working in secretarial positions for quite a while. Even going back to high school, I was a secretary for my high school council, and I was probably secretary in 5 other orgs there. You can look at my LinkedIn to see all of that. I would say I've been doing minutes for quite a while. I've gotten pretty efficient at that sort of thing. And especially with more technical organization, itemizing things using Google Drive, that sort of thing. Like I've gotten more sophisticated with COVID and the things here. So I would say I am somewhat qualified. I've also worked with Google Sites before, which I know Joe has on his docket. Yeah.
Derek, or go ahead. Derek.
What do you think you can improve upon from the last executive session?
Oh,
Oh, I would like to hear that.
That's my vote.
I don't like you tonight, Derek. Okay.
Right answer.
If anything, I would say it's possible that one thing with our previous executive assistant was that he was being rolled a little too hard by some of his other exec members, which one of them included you. So if anything, I'm going to try and advocate for myself. To try and better allocate the work amongst all the executive members and to ensure that I am not being the one that takes all the pile up for my fellow exec. Does that answer your question?
My name is Senator Ray.
I'd like to move into debate. I'd like to make a motion.
Does that mean that's a skedaddle?
Do I have any objections to that? All right. We have a motion to move to debate and a second.
I did not second.
I second.
Somebody else seconded.
Yeah, someone else.
Okay,
seconded.
all right.
I'm asking.
Why?
One more question. And it's probably the most important one. Okay.
You have to vote on it
Are
technically.
you going to rename your role the office of the executive assistant of the?
Oh, gosh.
Institute of Technology.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe if I find some place to put that long of a title, sure.
Your email signature, there's plenty of them there.
All right, Nova.
I'd like to make a motion to move into debate.
Thank you. Okay, 9. Yeah.
Yeah. When you're ready to send out the voting form, just hit enter in the window.
All right. So, as before, and 5 minutes. Books. Nova.
I'll make my point short, and I think I can speak on behalf of the entire executive board when I say this. We have all found Naeem to be very workable and very sociable with us, so I strongly urge the members of this body to vote yay.
Do I have any other points of discussion or concerns or anything like that? Derek.
Naeem is amazing. He'll do a great job in the role of executive assistant because I feel like he's probably watching on Facebook or YouTube or whatever right now. But yeah, at this point, I think it's pretty good.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and release the voting forum on my laptop.
He's got his earbuds.
Somebody just opened the door like really hard.
You're gonna open.
Oh, that's what
I'll do this. No,
All right,
I'll make a
so
really
we're
sad
moving
face.
into executive board.
I'll make a really sad face.
So go ahead, Elio. I'll take care of it.
You got a job to do.
Okay. Yes, I do have a job to do. Good evening. So
You bet your ass.
Run like television, Naeem.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Okay. Okay, so the caffeine still hasn't kicked in from Coca-Cola, so let's see if I don't pass out. Because today's one of those days, though. I would like to get a bit into some of the stuff that has gone through in the past week, and I'm very excited because, as I previously mentioned to some people that were here earlier, I have now posted more than half the posts that we have posted in the past few years, which is all purely introductions of the new execs, judicial board, and finance board. Yeah, our most liked post on our Instagram was Isaiah May's intro. So props to that. And basically, I'm going to keep going on with this over the next week, introducing more exec people, judicial board and finance board. And in the future, essentially, I want to start instituting some regular posts about the SGA agenda every week on the Tuesday before the Senate meeting. That way people are informed about what's going to go down in the Senate meeting in case anybody wants to join and such. So yeah, and then for TikTok, I want to start doing that stuff next week. I know, but you know what? It's the way we reach out to the Gen Z and the millennials. And you know what? TikTok is our future because that's how we're going to reach out to the even younger audiences that are going to start coming in next year. Well, no, in a few months. So I want to start doing like TLDR posts, as I'm calling them for now, where basically it's like a quick kind of like what happened in the last Senate meeting the day after. We literally just talked to camera. I would wish that it would be someone different every single video, and basically just tell people like, hey, this is what happened in the last Senate meeting in case you need to catch up. Like we passed this, we didn't pass this, but we were able to pass this. And then sort of just introduce the boards all together, not individually, because that would crush the attention span of anybody that's going to watch TikTok. So yeah, just introduce the executive board, the finance board, the judicial board, as well as the Senate as a whole. And then on YouTube, I also want to start doing stuff like that, the TLDR videos and posts, but slightly longer so that they go a bit more in depth into what they're going to do. Hopefully that should start in 2 weeks because I want to start rolling this out a bit slower so we're not rushing into it. And then I also want to do posts on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, thanking the provost for his service to the university. I feel like we should do that because we are SGA, and we should sort of thank the provost for all the stuff that he has done in the past few years. And then finally, I want to start working on getting a new website up, and this is most likely going to be something I'm going to be doing over the summer. Because it's final season and I'm not going to get any sleep if I start working 24/7. So basically I want to start, I want to gather a team to help me find a host for this new website and help me design the website. Ben Kramick already offered his help in designing the helping design the website at least. I would at least like to get a team, like I said, maybe about 15 people, if not 10, just see if we could set something up. And most preferably, it wouldn't be Google Sites because there are so many flaws with that website creator. Although it's free, it's very flawed and it's slow. And then the layout is just very confusing. We've all seen the SGA website. If you haven't, good for you. But yeah, it's something that we should probably start doing even more. And I want to talk to Chloe about that. If you're here, Chloe, I want to talk to you about getting some money for like actually getting a real host that could
free point of information.
hosting for Senate websites.
If you are not making a web application and you're just hosting like static pages, it's always should be free.
It always should be
nearly free.
I'll do a bit more research on that, but thank you. But yeah,
Don't need to do that.
I'm gonna talk about stuff for the website in the coming weeks, seeing how much help I can get. But yes, if I could get help, please join me. I'd love it. I don't want to do this with myself and Ben alone doing stuff. So yeah.
Real boomer question here. What does TLDR stand for?
Long didn't read.
No, too long. It's either too long didn't read or too lazy didn't read.
Oh. Or too long don't read.
Or too long don't read. Yeah. So like for those late night Senate meetings that run until like 11:30, people are not going to stick around for those because it's going to be 11:30. So the next day, someone's going to help me post a TikTok and an Instagram post and a YouTube post about. Sorry, not in TikTok. But yeah, that's what I have tonight. Looks like the caffeine is kicking in, so
Nice.
that's great.
All right. Next up, we have VP of Student Life, Nova.
Thank you. I don't really have much to say besides what's on here. I have a meeting with Department of Public Safety, the head Andrew Yoakum, that will be tomorrow in person. And in particular, I plan on bringing up some fire safety related concerns that some students shared with me and I've kind of pulled around a bit. I have a meeting with OCO, T and Rachel, that will be Tuesday, and that's in person. And my main concern is going to be the MTCC screen space that the chair Elio or Vice President Elio was kind of talking about with his last presentation last week. And then I have a meeting with Chartwell. This is something I've already been doing. That's Tuesday and that's virtual. And I will be bringing up a concern with a student had about single-use plastics. And if you guys, anyone, even students, even just regular students, I should say, have any concerns that you want me to bring up during these meetings, like that would be great, because that's like kind of the whole purpose of me going there is to bring up student concerns. So reach out to me. I have an email, I have an Instagram, I have a Slack. I'm like on all of them permanently. So reach out.
I have a question. Why are you bringing up fire safety? We've had a lot of fire alarms.
So the concern, I can go into it, but the basic concern is that from everyone I talk to, whenever there is a fire alarm, the concern isn't with the alarms themselves, it's the idea that no one actually uses the emergency exits for whatever reason. Like our RAs aren't telling people to do it. If there's no coordination on students should actually use the emergency exit, I think part of that is probably this culture of like treating every fire alarm like a fake one, like, oh, it's someone just burned popcorn again. But it's always that until it's the real one and you wish you used the emergency exit. So I think just getting it out there that, you know, no matter the fire alarm, the emergency exits are there literally for that purpose would probably be good, and coordinating with public safety and probably the residents advisors is probably the way to go.
I do agree that talking with them about the fire safety is good, because I was in 2 different buildings with the fire drills. And that was my first time ever dealing with it. And I gotta admit, they just expected us to all know what to do, but I was never told actually how to evacuate from the different buildings and stuff like that. Like one of them was my dorm, which was easy. Another one was a like an instructional building. And so I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a 3rd year, but like COVID, I wasn't here for most of my college career. So I do think maybe talking to them about like educating us about how to safely evacuate would be awesome.
And yeah, I mean, that's not exactly the concern I have, but yeah, I can also bring that up. I mean, on that, the most I've ever gotten, and I'm a resident in MSV, so maybe this isn't the same in other buildings, is on my door, there is a paper that says where I need to evacuate, and that's about it. And maybe my RA brought it up like very slightly during our like little meeting we had at the very beginning of fall, but other than that, like zilch.
The paper is accessible
Yes.
for everybody, so having it in like an actual physical instruction.
Also a valid concern. I will bring up.
Anna?
Yeah, so for context, this was in 2018, but I do know that in my chem lab, it was in Wishnick, they actually did have a practice and they like told people where to go. So maybe getting more like lab classes, especially like chem labs where there's more fire danger, to kind of do that at like the beginning of the semester. Because I know they still do that, but I know they did that in 2018 for me at least.
And just speaking on that, I think we had at least, we didn't have like a physical practice, but we, in my chem lab, Chem 125, I had last semester, we had a talk down. So yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that, but yeah, that would be also a great idea to bring up.
Just a point of information that I think we should bring up. Siegel building has emergency escape plans from the 1970s.
Ooh.
That are completely outdated because there are walls that exist on those plans that no longer exist. There are doors that exist that no longer exist.
Okay.
So yeah, I would bring that up as well.
Thank you for that wonderful information.
Yeah, not to terrify you.
Thankfully, I don't go there.
I'm only the architecture major that had to study that building.
Oh.
And I realized the plans are completely outdated.
Unless there's any other questions, I'll hand back the
I
floor.
want to talk to ORL about what they said the reasoning for the silent alarms in Cunningham and Kasich were. I cannot remember, but Wait, Ben, during the most recent fire drill, was the Kasich alarm audible? I mean, Cunningham alarm audible?
There's.
Okay.
Guns is like that too. It's all the apartments.
Guns and what was the building?
Guns, Kasich, Cunningham.
Okay, yeah, that trio.
Every single fire drill. Every single, like, I'm never in the building. I'm just like, yes.
There's actually just no audio that comes through unless there's someone in the lobby.
Okay.
Guns too. Somebody just puts, it's like, hey, there's a fire.
For Nova and with the Kasich and Cunningham thing, because a couple of us lived in Kasich, we went back and forth like for an entire year about like why Kasich Cunningham, you just cannot hear the alarm. So I was just bringing it up again. They say it's something about the way that they designed the building, but it makes absolutely no sense. Because I only knew there was a fire alarm going off one time because someone sent me a text. I didn't know that there was.
Doesn't sound like it's something.
The fire code.
Yeah, that sounds actually illegal.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
You don't have strobe lights in every room,
I have,
so like you just don't know.
I have a point of information about that as well. That is up to fire code, believe it or not, for Chicago's code. The lights are supposed to wake you up apparently, but I'm not so sure about that because I have slept through a few incidents.
Yeah.
Though there should be audible alarms when an actual fire is occurring. And then as for the design of the building, yes, it's horribly unsafe because if one stairwell is on fire, then the next one is most likely going to be on fire.
Okay, now I'm just curious, because I remember in my high school, there were certain designated rooms for like people who have disabilities or are temporarily disabled.
Yeah.
Like that they could go to. I have no clue if anywhere on campus at all, even in IIT Tower, if there's like any such room where you could theoretically exit from a window with help fire first.
So,
I know that.
Do you have a point of information?
I know the answer. Kasich has one, at least as far as I know, and that is in front of my room. It's not in my room, it's in the hallway in front of my room. So they just have it in like each floor. There's just an area that if you are physically disabled and can't go down the stairs, you just wait there.
Do they have
They
have like signage or like any
Yes, so it says like refuge area, and there's signage, yeah. And there's also on each floor of Kasich, there's like a black sign that has like all the fire information, I think, with all the like room numbers.
can I speak on that? Sorry, Ilya. So since we kind of have a ball of discussion points rolling, I think I'm fairly confident I can remember everything that's been said, but just in case you brought up like a new idea, please do send me a Slack just so I am like 100% sure I got your idea down. The only thing I can say in response to Eric is about the refuge rooms. I mean, clearly, Senator Wyatt did bring it up, but that his building, but I think that's more of a long-term thing. So I don't know if that's something I will bring up in our next meeting, but it can be something that is discussed in the future, just because that's, it's not like fire practice. It's more of construction and designation of rooms. That's a little, it's tangential, but it's a little out of the scope of what I'm wanting to talk about.
Actually part of fire, like drills.
Make part of fire drills, and then there's also the fact that given the way the building is designed, there should also be drills where a certain amount of people are given above a certain floor. In the case of a fire, would have to go up to the roof. I don't know the viability of doing a drill like that, so I would highly recommend it just because some people aren't aware that one of those stairs actually have roof access.
Yeah. Sure. And I will make sure to bring that up. Again, send me a message and everyone else about that, just so I'm 100% sure I got that.
All right. If you have any other pieces of information, suggestions, recommendations, whatever, please just forward them to Nova outside of email because it is starting to get a little late. So next up we have President Isaiah.
Yeah, this will be.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be kind of interpreting my role as president to be more so kind of a liaison between Senate and the administration, as well as Senate and the executive board, just because technically speaking, I'm not a member of Senate. I don't really need to be here, but I am. Anyway, so just kind of let you guys know with transitional stuff. We had our first executive board meeting just this past Monday. Was technically transitional because Samir was there. But yeah, it kind of just went off with a great success. I just wanted to declare, I believe that our transition, for the most part, there's one position that we're still working through, that our transition for the most part is pretty much complete and that we're kind of fully underway. And just in general, I'm really excited to be working with the e-boards that we have this year. I think there's going to be some great things that happen. But yeah, some kind of personal stuff for me. Again, going back about how I'm not really technically a part of Senate. I did just want to kind of extend sort of presidential office hours, quote unquote, which is really just if you ever have any sort of concern, anything like that, that you want me to bring up with admin, please just let me know. It could be a quick 15-minute Google Chats meeting. It could be in our new SGA office, which is pretty nice if you can go see it, or you can send me an email. I'll especially be referencing this ahead of PSAC meetings, which is the President Student Advisory Council, which is when I go. So we have people, members of PSAC like Naeem and Shahan actually, and we talk to president of the school, sometimes the provost, sometimes Dean Stet, just a variety of different admin people. So I'll always be advertising that. I also just want to gauge your guys' ideas about things for the upcoming semester. I have my own ideas. Of course, my vice presidents have their own ideas as well, but yeah. Next up, SGA office cleanup and redesign. Just with our new SGA office, really more so the topic there is just like, what do y'all want? Open to some suggestions. Rachel also is open to kind of helping us kind of pimp out the space and really kind of make it ours. Currently it's a bit of a mess because career services was in there, but we're kind of working out on that. Sorry, Celestine, don't mean to call you up, but yeah. And last up, we have, I mentioned this before, happening up the Senate elections for the fall. I'm really hoping and praying that we get this amendment passed to move the elections because, dear God, I really do not want to do elections in the spring. It's just going to be ridiculous. I really want to move it to the fall in October, and then per the amendment that we passed last week, it'll happen every single October. So again, the goal really is just to get a lot of hype for it. That way, the goal could be to get a full Senate and kind of get things running. So I really want all of you guys to really go out, tell your friends, tell anybody that you know that may be interested to kind of go out, and especially get those that people that we do not see here in the Senate. So like about things more like women, people of color, anything like that. We really want this body to be, representative of IIT. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
That we're going to move on to senator reports. Is there any senator who has anything they would like to say?
Oh, darn it. No, that doesn't count as me anymore, does it? Well, okay, technically, just literally in 10 seconds. RHA meeting went off without a hitch. We just went over some basic structural changes, just some things of that nature. So nothing really to concern, but it happened on Monday.
John? Okay.
Yeah. Your crushes. Please use
Fine.
so you don't our fire alarm, which is very funny. Anyway, no, it wasn't. Not for me.
So just wanted to quickly talk about Lettuce Club, right? We were passed about a year ago, last month.
That was a year ago.
Yeah. Since then, so at the time, it was a very contentious debate and vote that happened. We barely passed, but we just wanted to report that we're doing really well. We have a lot of awesome events coming up, and we have a really specific goal. We want to collab with as many organizations as possible this semester. We've already done a few collabs, but we're also collaborating with UB later this year or the semester. We have some collabs coming up with Hawk House actually, and some. Oh yeah, Earth Week. That's the big one. Okay, if you haven't heard of Earth Week, it's coming up. It's the week of April
23rd.
No,
it's like the 20th.
The week before that.
Yeah, it's the week of it though. It's the week
That's
of
a Saturday.
The week of April 22nd.
It's like
Yeah, that's
the week of the
the whole
18th.
week. Okay, there's events going on every single day of that week, hosted by several different Earth or environmental and sustainability organizations. For instance, Engineers Without Borders and UFarm. That's a big one. Climate Change Lobby. There's Seas. There's ESW. Who are covering our, that's a big one. There's so many. You guys will be seeing a lot of marketing content coming out. We're hoping to paint the whole bridge. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Please come to events. We have events. Every single organization has different events throughout the day. We're also gonna have some fun uniform cleanup stuff, and then obviously we're gonna end it off with the lettuce ball, which by the way is sold out.
Sold out.
Woo! If you got a ticket, awesome for you. If you didn't, there's next year. But yeah, I just want to reiterate, we really want to collaborate with as many organizations as possible. We're having a lot of fun with that, and always looking forward to that. Yes.
Chartwell is looking on the Earth Week stuff. Chartwell is looking for people. They have like a day coming up on the 23rd, I believe. That's just coming off the top of my head. Might be wrong. You should reach out to them because they're looking for student orgs to collab with.
Chartwell's is?
Yeah, Chartwell.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely. Can you throw that in the Slack?
Yeah. What do I throw in?
That Chartwell's is looking to collaborate.
Yeah. I can.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
I send it to Nabiha. She can just forward it to our Slack. And then other than that, there's no Senator Greek right now. So
No.
as
Oh, okay.
as you guys know, and I know I'm jealous. Greek Week is coming up. If you don't know about Greek Life, definitely come check it out. There's gonna be the dance off, there's gonna be a bake off, there's gonna be a lot of events on the quad. There's a lot going on. So if you're interested, definitely go check out their events, what they're doing. Come check out what Delta's doing. Pretend I get it. But yeah, have some fun.
Kappa?
Oh yeah, Kappa, totally.
Which fraternity won Greek Week last year?
After the SIG ups, they did a great job, I heard. I don't know who their
I heard
Greek
the same
chair is
thing.
this year. I really want to talk to them.
I wonder how you knew that.
We graded towards rubric, that's why.
I wonder if I wonder how.
But yeah, that's all I really want to talk about. Lettuce Club and Greek Week.
Wait, when is rubric?
Greek Week is April 10th. I'm not telling you my theme. That would be bad.
Wait, what's your team? We're neighbors.
Elva?
Unless there are any objections, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm just. Oh.
No, we need to hold the vote. We need to hold the vote.
We don't.
Is there any objection to actually closing this meeting?
I'd like to ask for unanimous consent. That way we don't need to vote.
Okay.
Oh, there's been a point.
All right.
What?
Have a nice day, everyone.
Help me troubleshoot.
Yeah.